Hey, welcome to the TBH with Toby B. Hemingway podcast, a monthly digest where I recap the stories from my Substack newsletter, TBH with me, Toby B. Hemingway. I didn't do an awful lot of writing this month, admittedly. Took some time, looked at some older writing, tried to figure out where it was at, brush it up, work on a pitch for an article or a story for a paper or magazine, and did a couple of stories here and just took a minute to think, give myself a break, give you all a break. One of the things it's hard to process at the moment as a writer is how much to engage with, I guess, news, political news particularly. That's a hard one for me at the moment. I feel like there's so much going on, but there's also so much media about what's going on with the American political scene and current federal administration. It's you can feel like I don't always want to add to that, but I do think about it. And I was thinking about it this week. My wife and I are watching the TV show Severance, like a lot of, white middle class people, I guess. That sort of show in a city like Los Angeles. Feels like everyone is watching it, kind of thing. But I've been getting really bored with TV recently, and watching that has really, really amped up that feeling. And I realized the other day that it's that same feeling I get a little bit from social media and federal politics, that feeling of nothing means anything, I guess. I've been saying that for years, since Trump was first president, as everyone goes through these conniptions about how could he do this, how could he do that, oh my God, this is going to be the end of him, or an idea or a movement. And in the end, nothing means anything. Everything just keeps going, and maybe I'll write about this at some point, but it occurred to me in a way that that's what a lot of television shows feel like to me now. They just go on and on and on, and nothing really means anything. And then I was thinking about social media and how that's kind of how that works, and how all of these things have, whether it's politics or television or movie sequels, they've all taken their cue from social media engineering, it feels like. The idea being to just keep us all, keep our attention, just to capture our attention and never let it go. It's, it's what I would define as an attention-holding mechanism or apparatus. It's there purely to hold our attention. So in the case of a political movement, it's just one shocking thing after another, and really nothing gets done about it. Really things don't change fundamentally. From a social media standpoint, you just scroll, got your attention. And in a TV way, I think it's just season into season. This happens, then that happens, and it never ends. And I find it incredibly boring and unfulfilling. So I think I'm going to switch back to movies mostly. At least they start and finish. Not movies that are sequels either. I just want to be entertained, have something happen to a character or characters, and go to bed. Is that too much to ask? I guess it kind of is. Anyway, I don't want to be too negative. That it occurs to me that that's a few minutes of fairly negative talk, but I didn't as I say, write an awful lot for the Substack this month. So first up, though, I wasn't writing anything, and I was okay with that. And then I saw this picture of Jack Black. Jack Black? That's not his name. Jack White. God, how many times people make that mistake? And I'm making that mistake because of his ridiculously black hair in the photograph I saw. Jack White is dyeing his hair. And shout out to Jack Black, a man who generally doesn't dye his hair. Has a full salt and pepper beard and hair as well. Good on you, Jack Black, come to think of it. Anyway, so I wrote about this trend of men, particularly my age and a little older, now just out and out completely blackening their hair at ridiculous ages, and how silly it looks and how lame I think it is. And I saw another one the other day, and the other thing that occurred to me, I saw Cass McCombs, a singer-songwriter who I adore. He was on the NPR Tiny Desk concert series, and I couldn't watch more than half a song because he as well, the minute the picture came up, I said to myself, oh God, him too. Dyed his hair, and you can tell because, especially with white guys, paler white guys like me, Cass McCombs and Jack White, that they never get the tone right, and it just they look even paler and sicker and kind of older. And that was the case with Cass. The minute I saw his hair, my heart sank. There it was, bottle black against his pasty white musician skin. Whew. It's an amazing choice. Anyway, I wrote about that. I hope you enjoy that. A few people seem to enjoy that. I picked up some subscribers on that one. I guess people like a good rant. Anyway, and then flipped it completely this week. I'm recording this the same week that I posted the story about me in my years-long attempt to become decent at playing the banjo, and more of a meditative kind of piece about what it means to learn an instrument, and my kids learning instruments and what we can find out about ourselves doing that, ideally. I am not a yeehaw banjo player, I can tell you that. I still play it in a weird guitar-like way, the same way I play any stringed instrument. Can't get my hands or head around actually going full, Doc Watson, is that his name? The banjo player? Steve Martin, doing those long runs and fancy stuff. But anyway, fun to play with an instrument, even if you don't master it. Try and figure out what you can do with it. I find to be an interesting exercise. We're gonna do a bit of spring break travel this coming week, so I might be a shorter series of stuff in April as well. Don't know. We'll see. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy these two stories. Like I said, just a quick one. And if you don't already, please subscribe to the Substack, share it with your friends, comment, write me, all that stuff. Like this podcast, follow it, subscribe to it. I don't know what you do. All that stuff, it all really helps. I promise you. And I thank you for listening and for reading. So enjoy these two stories, and I will put something together again next month. Thanks. Dying for It, from March 20th, 2025. Musician Jack White and actor Bill Murray were at the baseball together in Japan this week. I know this not because I follow either of them particularly closely, but rather because it's the sort of oddity that the internet does follow closely, then randomly serves me an image of. There they were, the two celebrity men, from opposite ends of the entertainment spectrum, and perhaps more jarringly, from different generations, Murray being 25 years White's senior, shoulder to shoulder in the stands at a Chicago Cubs exhibition game. What struck me about the image wasn't its odd couple nature, or the age gap per se, but rather how Jack could look so much less dignified than a man old enough to be his father. It didn't take long to figure out. It never takes me long to figure it out these days. It wasn't just the shirt-sweater combo versus a too-tight retro jersey. It was the hair dye. It's always the hair dye. Jack and I are the same age, and we both have fairly thick heads of hair, but I know what he's going through. We're knocking on the door of 50. Physical things change, and it's almost always in unflattering ways. Even thick hair one day becomes thinner than you're used to, more brittle, and of course, grey in places. It's confronting. Yet I stand by something I said to some mature male friends not so long ago. If you're a middle-aged man, lucky enough to still have most of your hair, dyeing it is just an insult to all the balding men who aren't so lucky. You won the gene lottery. What more do you want? Furthermore, I'm sorry, it looks ridiculous. Just look at the picture of Jack and Bill as an example, and tell me who you'd rather sidle up to at the bar of a 4-star Tokyo hotel. The quirky old guy with the electrostatic white strands, or the slightly less old guy who looks like a black cat fell on his head and he brushed its legs apart for the photograph. I don't want to be unfair. Jack is hardly alone. In recent years, maybe as my generation lurches deeper into the grey, I've noticed more and more men rushing for the bottle. Further online searching will show that Jack tried an electric blue do a few years ago, and I applaud him for his creativity. Mostly, though, it's the panicked, way too dark look giving the game away for men of a certain vintage. Nick Cave's only 8 years younger than Bill Murray, but he'll never let his hair tell you that. Half the men I'm supposed to admire from my generation now look like recently divorced cab drivers who refuse to listen to their daughter's best advice. What's happened? Women have been dying for generations, I know, and I don't feel qualified or entitled to get into that. But many are foregoing the bottle these days, and at least most women who dye their hair do it seriously, with grace and thought and nuance to the colour. Most dyed men look like someone hurriedly sharpied a picture of them in a dentist's waiting room magazine. I took the kids to see Paddington in Peru recently, and the least realistic thing about the whole movie wasn't that a permanently infantile animal with no pants could get a British passport in order to visit his aunt in a jungle nursing home for retired bears. It was expecting us all to believe that Antonio Banderas still has a full head of black hair. I've forgotten the movie's plot. It was very distracting. Have you seen Bradley Cooper lately? What more could that man want? Why then does he insist on making himself look like the wolf from Red Riding Hood, dressed up as the grandma from Red Riding Hood, dressed up as Bradley Cooper? The more celebrities do things, the more we see it creep into the general population too. I'm all for freedom of personal preference, but this hair dye trend feels a lot sadder than that to me. It's not bravely being who you truly are, it's vainly clinging onto who you once were. Men in general are not well, reviving a lot of old bad ideas. I think our politics has well and truly illustrated that in recent years, captained by the great hair forger-in-chief himself. But for God's sake, let's restore some dignity while we still have time and hair. Guys, put down the bottle. The Old Banjo, from March 27th, 2025. I'm still learning to play the old banjo, slowly, in my own way. I've looked up online tutorials, yet remain unmoved by them, unconvinced. I can't unlock what's inside. There's no mournful hillbilly trapped beneath my ribs, I suppose. No darn tootin' soul. Just another white boy guitar player drawn to this black instrument, in ways he'll never fully understand. My 11-year-old son started drum lessons recently. Once a week we drive him to the local music store. He goes upstairs for half an hour in a tiny room, 2 drum kits wedged side by side, bang, crash, bang. I think he just likes to hit things mostly. Sometimes he starts absent-mindedly whacking the couch cushions, and I tell him to take it out on the kit. He does, and it sounds okay. I hear him steadying himself, finding the groove. My son's teacher likes to watch golf videos on his phone between lessons, he tells me. Maybe the teacher's trying to improve his playing too. Aren't we all? Trying to get better at something, closer to something, to ourselves, in our own way. His 7-year-old sister has taken up the piano. She has a pink ukulele from her uncle and aunt too, and my old portable record player in her room. She sings along to Taylor Swift LPs almost every morning and evening, then goes to the same music store as her brother once a week, up the same set of stairs, and learns from a polite young woman with an old spinet placed against the wall in an otherwise empty room, and what I imagine to be a baby grand's worth of patience in her heart. When my daughter comes home, she opens her lesson book against the piano and gives me a window into what she's learned. Plink, plonk, I love it. It's the same small upright piano that's always been in our house. I bought it on Craigslist and wrote a few songs on it back in the day, navigating its chip-toothed keys, what happened to them, with the stilted hands of a self-learner who can't read music. The drums have also hung around a while, in case a drummer happened to show up. My son first tried playing them when he was 2. I still have a photograph. Sticks waving, my workshop earmuffs wrapped over his tiny head, big smile on his face. I've left the instruments around the house all their lives, like unbaited traps. Slowly they've walked into them. The guitar didn't stick, yet, but that's okay. One guitar dude in the family's enough. There's still so much time, so many moods we don't want for cacophony. A luthier once told me that clients sometimes got upset when he removed old lint balls from inside their guitars while repairing them. They felt he'd mess with the instrument's mojo or something, he said, grinning. I could relate. There's so much inside of an instrument that we can't understand, maybe even parts of ourselves or those who played them before us. So there's Dad in a corner, still plunking those notes on the old banjo, fallen into his own trap, still trying to get better, chasing an idea even he doesn't understand, picturing those old barbershop shows, the jingle-jangle, the boater hats, the hearty croon, or round-headed men in denim overalls hunched around one microphone. Yodel-a-hoo-hoo. That's not me, but we're all inside the instruments somewhere. Half the fun is figuring out exactly where. Hey, thanks for listening all the way through. Just the 2 stories this month, as I said. I'll be back with more next month. All the little guitar pieces you hear are just me messing around in the office at home. The intro and outro track is from a record by my old band Horse Stories. You can find that on the streaming services along with my other stuff under my first 2 names, Toby Burke. Thanks again for reading, subscribing, listening. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great spring here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I look forward to writing more for you and hearing from you all soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.